Jack had been lying face down on the ground for 48 hours, not daring to budge an inch. Behind him loomed a 300-foot cliff, and one false move would send him plummeting to his death. He dug his fingers into the earth, but the sand was too loose. His entire body began sliding towards the edge. Desperate, he used his face as a brake, barely managing to stop his descent. But just then, his phone rang from inside his backpack. Answering it was his only hope of rescue, but even the slightest movement would send him careening over the edge. Carefully adjusting his position, he pressed his face tightly against the ground and reached out with his other hand. Finally, he grasped the phone, but in the next instant, Jack suddenly slipped, teetering on the brink of the cliff, jagged rocks waiting below. Hours passed, and the toll on his mind and body had pushed him to the breaking point. Suddenly, he began muttering under his breath, calculating the rhythm of the crashing waves. If he could use the water to break his fall, he might survive. As he finished the countdown, he let go and leaped with all his strength, plunging into the sea. The water was too shallow, and his hips slammed against a rock, but mustering his last ounce of energy, he managed to break the surface. The real test had only just begun. Dragging himself ashore, he assessed the damage. Apart from a gash on his hand, he seemed to be in one piece. He hadn't taken a single step when his phone rang again. Frantically digging through his pack, he found it, but it was waterlogged and unresponsive. He was royally screwed. His only option was to yell for help at the top of his lungs, but in this godforsaken place, there wasn't a soul around. Before him loomed the sheer cliff face, behind, the endless expanse of ocean. Left with no other choice, he removed his t-shirt and bandaged his wound. To conserve his strength, he lay down on the rocks and drifted off to sleep. When he opened his eyes again, he surveyed his surroundings. Scaling the cliff was impossible, but in the distance, he spotted a small island, his one shot at survival. Summoning every ounce of strength, he rolled into the water. It wasn't as simple as he'd hoped. With his legs numb and one hand badly injured, he could only inch forward. Before long, his stamina gave out, forcing him to rest on the surface. Suddenly, a searing pain ripped through his abdomen. He gasped, swallowing a mouthful of water, and slowly began to sink. Movie title: One Solo/I.